The sound of a gunshot wound bleeding out is wet and rhythmic, like a faucet that won't stop dripping. I heard that sound coming from my own chest as I pressed my hands against the hole in my daughter's side. Blood pooled between my fingers, warm and thick, staining the expensive white dress I bought her for her 8th birthday party. "Stay with me, Isabella," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Please, baby, stay with me." She looked up at me with those big brown eyes, confused and scared. "Daddy, it hurts." We were in an alley behind Romano's restaurant where someone had just tried to kill me. The bullet meant for my heart had hit my daughter instead. My men were dead or dying around us. My phone was shattered on the ground. The nearest hospital was 15 minutes away. Isabella didn't have 15 minutes. I heard footsteps at the end of the alley. My hand went to my gun, but I couldn't let go of Isabella's wound. I looked up, ready to die protecting my daughter. What I saw changed everything. A woman stood at the alley entrance, backlit by the streetlights. She wore clothes that hadn't been washed in weeks, and her hair was tangled and dirty. She carried a shopping cart filled with plastic bags and empty bottles. A homeless woman. But she wasn't looking at me with fear or greed. She was looking at Isabella. "Gunshot wound," she said, her voice steady and clinical. "Upper right quadrant." "How long?" "2 minutes," I managed. "Maybe 3. She abandoned her cart and moved toward us with purpose. I raised my gun with my free hand. "Don't come closer." She ignored the weapon completely. "That bullet nicked her liver. She's bleeding internally. In 5 minutes, she be dead. In 10, nothing will save her." She knelt beside us, her eyes scanning Isabella's pale face. "I can save her, but not here. We need to move her." "You're insane," I said. "You're a homeless. I'm a trauma surgeon." Her eyes met mine, and I saw something there that made me believe her. Or I was. "Before I lost everything. There's a basement 2 buildings down," she continued, her hands already examining Isabella's wound with practiced efficiency. "It's abandoned. I've been staying there. I have supplies." "Supplies?" I stared at her like she'd lost her mind. "You want me to let a homeless woman operate on my daughter in a basement? I want you to let a Johns Hopkins trained trauma surgeon save your daughter's life." She pressed her hand over mine on Isabella's wound. "You have 30 seconds to decide. After that, the blood loss will be too severe." Isabella's eyes were starting to roll back. Her breathing was shallow, labored. Each breath sounded wet and wrong. I'd built an empire on reading people, on knowing who to trust and who to eliminate. This woman was either genuinely trying to help, or she was the best actress I'd ever seen. But her hands on Isabella's wound were steady, professional. Not shaking like mine. "If you hurt her, then you'll kill me." She was already lifting Isabella carefully, supporting her head and keeping pressure on the wound. "I know who you are, Vincent Calabrese. Everyone in this city knows the Calabrese family. You can kill me after I save her, if that makes you feel better. But right now, every second we waste is a second your daughter doesn't have." I had no choice. I lifted Isabella with the woman's guidance, and we ran. The basement smelled of mold and concrete, lit by battery-powered camping lanterns. But in one corner, I saw something that didn't belong in a homeless shelter. A makeshift medical station with shelves of supplies, equipment that looked expensive and well-maintained, and a clean tarp spread over a wooden table. "Lay her here," the woman commanded. She was already pulling on latex gloves from a sealed box. "What's her name?" "Isabella," I said, my voice hollow. "Isabella, my name is Dr. Natalie Porter. I'm going to make the pain stop." She spoke directly to my daughter, her tone calm and reassuring. "You're going to feel sleepy soon. When you wake up, you'll feel much better." She turned to me. "I need you to hold this light. Don't move it. Don't talk. Don't distract me." She handed me a flashlight. "If you pray, now would be the time." I watched as she cut away Isabella's blood-soaked dress. The wound was worse than I'd thought. So much blood. "Too much blood. She's in shock," Natalie said, more to herself than to me. "Starting for fluids. Then we find that bleeder." I'd seen violence my entire life. I'd ordered men killed, watched rivals bleed out, built my empire on blood and fear. But watching Natalie work on my daughter was different. Every second felt like an hour. Every movement Natalie made seemed both too fast and too slow. Her hands moved with precision I'd only seen in professional hitmen. But instead of taking life, she was fighting to preserve it. "Retractor," she muttered, reaching for an instrument without looking. Her setup was crude but organized. Everything had a place. There's the bleeder, clamp. Isabella's chest barely moved. Her face was gray. Is she quiet? Natalie didn't look up. Her pressure is dropping. I need to work faster. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the cold basement air. Come on, baby girl. Stay with me. I realized this homeless doctor was talking to my daughter the same way I had. With love, with desperation. Like Isabella was her own child, minutes crawled by. Natalie's hands never stopped moving, suturing, checking, adjusting for bags that hung from exposed pipes. Finally, she stepped back. She's stable. The bleeding is controlled. I stared at Isabella's chest, watching it rise and fall with steady breaths. Color was returning to her cheeks. The gray pallor was fading. My hands were covered in her blood, my expensive suit ruined, but none of that mattered. She was alive. You saved her, I whispered. I bought her time. Natalie was already cleaning her instruments with bottled water and alcohol. She needs a real hospital. Blood transfusions, antibiotics, post-operative care. She looked at me with exhausted eyes. I stopped the bleeding, Mr. Calabrese, but she's not out of danger. The next 48 hours are critical. How did you digest at the medical supplies surrounding us? How does a homeless woman have all this? Her jaw tightened. I steal from hospital dumpsters. Most of this equipment was thrown out because it's outdated or the packaging was damaged. The medicines are expired by 6 months, but they still work. She stripped off her gloves. You learn to make do when you have nothing. When no one will hire you. When your name has been destroyed so thoroughly that you can't even get a job stocking shelves, you're really a surgeon. I was. She sat down hard on an overturned crate, suddenly looking as exhausted as I felt. 3 years ago, I worked at St. Catherine's Hospital. Trauma surgery. I was good at it. Really good. Youngest head of trauma in the hospital's history. What happened? Natalie looked at Isabella, not at me. I testified against the wrong people. They destroyed my career, my reputation, my life. Made sure I'd never work in medicine again. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Turns out, witnessing a mob hit makes you very unemployable. My blood went cold. You testified against the Moretti family. She finally met my eyes. I saw Antonio Moretti kill a patient in Maya, a witness to one of his crimes. I was naive enough to think the justice system would protect me. She laughed bitterly. Instead, they labeled me unstable, drug addict, forged documents saying I stole medication. By the time I realized what was happening, I'd lost everything. My medical license, my apartment, my entire life, the Morettis, my sworn enemies. The family that had tried to kill me tonight. You lost everything because you told the truth. Welcome to your world. Mr. Calabrese. She stood up, checking Isabella's IV. She sleep for a few hours. When she wakes up, she needs a hospital. A real one. I can't take her to a hospital. Not yet. I thought of the ambush, the betrayal. Someone inside my organization set me up tonight. Until I know who. Everywhere is dangerous. Then she stays here. Natalie adjusted the blanket over Isabella. I'll monitor her. But Mr. Calabrese, I'm serious. She needs proper medical care within 24 hours. This basement isn't sterile. Infection is a real risk. I pulled out my phone, a backup I kept in my jacket. I'll make calls. Get you whatever you need. I need a hospital. You'll have one. I was already dialing my most trusted lieutenant. Give me a list. Equipment, medicine, whatever my daughter needs. You'll have it within 2 hours. She stared at me. You're going to turn this basement into a hospital. I'm going to keep my daughter alive until I can move her safely. The call connected. Marco, I need you to listen carefully. Over the next hour, I coordinated from that cold basement. Marco brought medical equipment without asking questions. Another trusted man brought fresh clothes, food, and more supplies. Natalie gave them a detailed list, and everything arrived like we were placing an Amazon order. You're efficient, Natalie said. Watching the organized chaos, I didn't become who I am by being careless. By 3 a.m. The basement looked less like a homeless shelter and more like a field hospital. Natalie had real monitoring equipment now, proper lighting, and enough medical supplies to stock a small clinic. This is insane, she muttered, hooking up a proper heart monitor to Isabella. Yesterday, I was digging through dumpsters. Today, I'm running an underground trauma unit. Yesterday my daughter was healthy, I said quietly. Today someone tried to murder us both. She glanced at me. The Morettas. Probably. They've been pushing into my territory for months. I watched Isabella's sleeping face. But the timing was too perfect. They knew exactly where we'd be. Knew my security rotation. Someone talked. So you have an enemy outside and a traitor inside. Story of my life. I rubbed my face, exhausted. How did you end up in that alley tonight? Natalie sat down, accepting a cup of coffee from Marco. I sleep rough in this neighborhood. I was heading back here when I heard the gunshots. She paused. I should have kept walking, but you didn't. No, she looked at Isabella. I couldn't. Isabella woke up at dawn. Her eyes fluttered open, confused and frightened. Daddy. I was at her side instantly. I'm here, baby. I'm right here. Where are we? She tried to sit up and winced. Don't move, sweetheart. Natalie appeared on her other side. You were hurt, but you're going to be fine. I'm Dr. Natalie. I've been taking care of you. Isabella looked at her, then at the strange basement surroundings. It hurts. I know it does. But the pain means you're healing. Natalie checked her vital signs with practiced ease. You're a very brave girl, Isabella. Someone shot me, Isabella whispered, and I saw tears forming. Why would someone shoot me? I felt rage building in my chest. Pure, white-hot fury at whoever had done this. It was a mistake, baby. It was meant for me, Mr. Calabrese. Natalie's voice was sharp. Not now. She was right. Isabella didn't need to know the truth yet. She didn't need to know her father's empire had nearly gotten her killed. Over the next 2 days, Natalie never left Isabella's side. She monitored every vital sign, changed bandages with meticulous care, and somehow made a concrete basement feel safe for a scared 8-year-old girl. She told Isabella stories about her time in medical school, made her laugh with silly jokes, and held her hand when the pain got bad. I watched her work with growing respect. This woman who had nothing, who had lost everything, was giving my daughter the best care I could imagine. Better than some of the expensive private doctors I'd hired over the years. She cared. Not because I was paying her, I wasn't. Not because she owed me anything. But because it was who she was. Why are you doing this? I asked during one of Isabella's naps. Natalie was cleaning instruments, her movements automatic and precise. Doing what? This, all of this. You could have walked away that first night. You saved Isabella's life. You could have taken money and disappeared. But you're still here. She was quiet for a long moment. Because I'm still a doctor. They took my license, my career, my life. But they couldn't take away what I am. What I was meant to be. She looked at me with eyes that had seen too much pain. And because I know what it's like to lose everything. I won't let that little girl lose her father. Or her life. The Morettas destroyed you. Yes, I could destroy them. She met my eyes. I don't want revenge, Mr. Calabrese. I want my life back. What if I could give you both? Natalie stared at me. What are you saying? I'm saying the Morettas made an enemy when they came after my daughter. And they made a bigger mistake when they destroyed a gifted surgeon who could have saved lives. I moved closer. Work for me. Be my daughter's private physician. I'll get your medical license reinstated. I'll destroy the people who destroyed you. And you'll never sleep in an alley again. You can't just fix 3 years of why I own judges, lawyers, hospital administrators. I wasn't bragging, just stating facts. Give me 2 weeks and Dr. Natalie Porter will be fully licensed and cleared of all charges. She shook her head. Why would you do this? Because you saved my daughter's life. Because the enemy of my enemy is valuable. And because I don't let talent go to waste. I pulled out a checkbook. Name your price. I don't want your money. Everyone wants money. I want my reputation back. Her voice shook with emotion. I want to be able to practice medicine without looking over my shoulder. I want people to stop looking at me like I'm trash. Done. Just like that. Done. Natalie laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mr. Calabrese, you don't understand. The Morettas made sure I'd never. The Morettas don't control me. I wrote a check and held it out. This is advance payment. $50,000. Get an apartment. Buy clothes. Eat real food. By the time you're settled, your license will be reinstated. She stared at the check like it might bite her. What's the catch? You belong to me now. To my family. You protect Isabella. You help me when I need medical expertise. And you testify against the Morettas when I bring them down. Testify again. That's what destroyed me the first time. You'll testify with protection. My protection. The kind that doesn't fail. I kept the check extended. You can go back to your basement, back to dumpster diving and dodging police. Or you can take this check and start rebuilding your life. Your choice. Isabella stirred in her sleep, and we both looked at her. This little girl who'd survived because a homeless doctor refused to walk away. Natalie took the check. 1 week later, Isabella was strong enough to be moved to a private estate I owned outside the city. Natalie had transformed from the dirty, homeless woman into someone who looked professional again. Clean clothes, styled hair, but her eyes still carried the wariness of someone who'd lost everything once before. The infection is completely cleared, she told me, reviewing Isabella's chart. She's healing beautifully. In another week, she can return to normal activities. Thanks to you. Thanks to luck. She set down the chart. If that bullet had been 2 inches to the left, but it wasn't, I poured us both drinks. Whiskey for me, water for her. I kept my promise. Check your email. She pulled out the new phone I'd given her and opened her email. I watched her face as she read. Shock, disbelief, then tears. My license, she whispered. It's been reinstated. All charges dropped. My record is cleared. She looked up at me. How did you? I told you. I own the right people. I sipped my whiskey. Dr. Porter, welcome back to the medical profession. There's more, I continued. I've arranged for you to have privileges at 3 hospitals. Your choice which one you work at. And St. Catherine's has offered you your old position back. Natalie set down her phone with shaking hands. St. Catherine's fired me. They said they said what the Morettas told them to say. Now they're saying something different. I pulled out another envelope. This is the deed to a condo downtown. To bedroom, view of the river. It's yours, Mr. Calabrese Vincent. Call me Vincent. I pushed the envelope toward her. And before you argue, understand something. I don't give charity. This is payment for services rendered. You saved my daughter. This is the beginning of what I owe you. She opened the envelope, stared at the deed. I don't understand. Why give me all this? The money, the license, the apartment, because loyalty should be rewarded. And because I need you. For what? To help me destroy the Morettas. And to keep my daughter safe while I do it. Natalie was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. You want me to testify against them again. I want you to help me build a case so airtight they can't escape it. I leaned forward. You saw Antonio Moretti commit murder. That crime is still open. With your testimony and my resources, we can finally put him away. He'll kill me. He'll try. He'll fail. I met her eyes. I protect what's mine, Dr. Porter, and you're mine now. Under my protection. In my family. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the manicured grounds. 3 years ago, I told the truth and lost everything. Now you're asking me to do it again. 3 years ago, you stood alone. Now you stand with me. I joined her at the window. The Morettas took your life. They tried to take my daughter's life. Together, we can make sure they never hurt anyone again. She turned to face me. And if I say no, then you walk away with everything I've given you. No strings attached. You've earned it. I meant it. But Isabella would miss you. That got her. I saw it in her eyes. She's already attached to you, I continued. She asks for you every morning. Tells me stories about the brave doctor who saved her life. I smiled slightly. She wants to be a doctor when she grows up now. Like you. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. Don't manipulate me with your daughter. I'm not manipulating. I'm telling you the truth. Isabella needs you, and if I'm being honest, so do I. She wiped her eyes. I need time to think. Take all the time you need. I headed for the door, then paused. But while you're thinking, consider this. The Morettas didn't just destroy your career. They destroyed dozens of lives. They'll destroy dozens more. You have the power to stop them. After I left, I went to check on Isabella. She was sitting up in bed, drawing pictures. Daddy, look. I drew Dr. Natalie. The picture showed a stick figure with wild hair and a big smile. That's beautiful, sweetheart. Is Dr. Natalie going to stay with us? I hope so, baby. I really hope so. Isabella looked serious. She has to stay. Daddy, she's family now. 2 days later, Natalie found me in my study. I'll do it. I'll testify against the Morettas. I looked up from the paperwork I'd been reviewing. You're sure? No, I'm terrified. She sat down across from me. But Isabella is right. I'm family now. And family protects family. I felt something unfamiliar in my chest. Respect, maybe. Or something deeper. You heard that. She told me herself this morning. Said I was her family now because I saved her life and families save each other. Natalie smiled, but it was sad. Hard to argue with 8-year-old logic. It's not just logic. She's right. I closed the file I'd been reading. You are family. Which means I'll die before I let the Morettas hurt you again. Quite a promise from a crime boss. I keep my promises. I stood up. Come with me. There's something you need to see. I led her down to the basement, not a moldy concrete hole like where she'd saved Isabella, but a state-of-the-art facility. This is our security center. 24-hour surveillance. Armed guards. Panic rooms. The latest technology money can buy. Natalie stared at the monitors showing every angle of the estate. This is where you live. This is where we all live. You, me, Isabella, and anyone else under my protection. I pointed to a screen. That's your new condo downtown. I've installed the same security system there. You'll have a team watching you at all times. I'll be a prisoner. You'll be safe. I turned to face her. The Morettas play for keeps, Natalie. Once they know you're testifying again, they'll come after you. This isn't negotiable. She crossed her arms. I agreed to help you. I didn't agree to give up my freedom. Would you rather be free or alive? Maybe both. Not an option. Not in my world. I softened my tone. Look, I understand this is difficult. But Isabella needs you healthy and breathing. So do I. This is the only way. She was quiet for a moment. When Isabella is older, I'll tell her about the night I found her in that alley. About how scared I was. About how I knew that if I saved her, I'd be dragged back into the world that destroyed me. She looked at me. But I saved her anyway. Why? Because that's what doctors do. Over the following weeks, Natalie settled into her new life. She spent mornings with Isabella, helping her heal and homeschooling her while the danger passed. Afternoons were spent preparing her testimony with my lawyers. Evenings, we'd have dinner together, the three of us, like a strange, unconventional family. Dr. Natalie says I can start regular school next month, Isabella announced one night over pasta. That's wonderful, sweetheart. I smiled at my daughter, then at Natalie. Think she's ready. Medically, she's fully healed. The scar will fade with time. Natalie cut Isabella's pasta into smaller pieces without thinking about it. The gesture was so maternal, it made my chest tight. Emotionally, she's resilient. She be fine. I want Dr. Natalie to take me on my first day, Isabella said. Can she, Daddy? I looked at Natalie, who seemed surprised by the request. That's up to Dr. Natalie. I'd be honored, Natalie said softly. After dinner, after Isabella went to bed, Natalie and I sat on the terrace overlooking the city. She's getting attached to you, I said. I know, so am I. Natalie turned to look at me. Vincent, what are we doing here? What do you mean? This, she gestured between us. Playing house. Pretending we're a normal family when you're a crime boss and I'm a homeless doctor you picked up in an alley. Former homeless doctor, I corrected. And we're not pretending. This is real. This is insane. Maybe. I moved closer. But I've never been happier. Isabella has never been healthier. And unless I'm completely misreading things, neither have you. She didn't deny it. What happens after the trial? After the Morettas are convicted? Do I go back to my condo and we pretend this never happened? Is that what you want? I don't know what I want anymore. She stood up, agitated. 3 months ago, I was sleeping in a basement. Now I'm living in a mansion, having dinner with a mafia boss, and tucking his daughter into bed at night. It's too much, too fast, then slow down. Stay as long as you want. Leave if you need to. I stood to face her. But know this, you'll always have a place here. With us, with you. You mean? Yes, with me. The trial began 6 weeks later. Natalie testified with a strength that amazed me. She detailed everything she'd witnessed 3 years ago, Antonio Moretti murdering a patient in her, the threats that followed, the systematic destruction of her career. The defense tried to destroy her credibility again. They brought up her time homeless, her expired medical supplies, made it sound like she was unstable. But this time, she had me. My lawyers countered every attack. My influence ensured the jury heard the truth. And when Antonio Moretti was convicted of murder and sentenced to life without parole, Natalie finally broke down. I found her in the courthouse bathroom, sobbing. It's over. It's finally over. I held her while she cried 3 years of pain and fear and anger. You were magnificent in there. I was terrified. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. I pulled back to look at her. You saved my daughter. You helped me bring down my enemy. And you did it all while rebuilding your life from nothing. You're the strongest person I know. She kissed me then. Sudden and unexpected and perfect. Is this okay? She asked when we broke apart. I work for you. Isabella depends on me. This could complicate everything. This already is everything, I said, and kissed her again. When we got home, Isabella was waiting up with Marco. Did you win, Daddy? We won, sweetheart. Dr. Natalie won. Isabella ran to hug Natalie. I knew you would. You're the bravest doctor in the whole world. That night, after Isabella was asleep, Natalie and I sat on the terrace again. So what now? She asked. Now you decide what you want. You have your license back. Your reputation restored. You could go anywhere, do anything. I took her hand. Or you could stay here. With us, with me. As what? Your daughter's doctor. Your consultant. Your double quotes my partner. In everything. She was quiet for a long moment. I need to tell you something. About that night in the alley. What about it? I knew who you were before I helped Isabella. I knew you were Vincent Calabrese. That you were dangerous. She looked at me. And I helped anyway. Why? Because she was just a little girl. And because someone had to. 3 months ago, I had nothing. Natalie continued. I was invisible, forgotten, less than nothing. She squeezed my hand. You gave me back my life. But more than that, you gave me a family. You and Isabella. This strange, impossible family. Nothing about us is impossible. Unexpected, maybe. But not impossible. I want to stay, she said. Not because I owe you. Not because of obligation. But because when I'm with you and Isabella, I feel like I'm finally home. Then stay. Forever. Forever is a long time for a crime boss and a homeless doctor. Former homeless doctor. I corrected, making her laugh. And yes, forever is exactly what I'm offering. 6 months later, Natalie and I got married in a small ceremony with Isabella as our flower girl. The little girl who'd brought us together beamed as she scattered rose petals. Do you think this is crazy? Natalie whispered as we stood at the altar. Completely insane, I agreed. But the best things in life usually are. When the priest asked if anyone objected, Isabella giggled. No way, this is the best day ever. 2 years after that night in the alley, Natalie opened her own clinic. Not at a big hospital, but a free clinic for people who had nothing. People like she'd been. You don't have to do this, I told her. You've proven yourself. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm trying to help people who the system forgot. She smiled at me. Besides, I know what it's like to be invisible. To need help and have nowhere to turn. If I can give them what you gave me a second chance, then that's what I want to do. Isabella, now 10 years old, volunteered at the clinic after school. When I grow up, I'm going to be a doctor like Mom, she announced one day. Mom. Natalie had become more than a doctor who saved Isabella's life. She'd become her mother in every way that mattered. Your mom would be proud, I told Isabella. She is proud, Isabella corrected. She tells me every day. That night, lying in bed with Natalie, I thought about that terrible night in the alley. About how close I'd come to losing everything. About how a homeless doctor had saved more than my daughter's life. She'd saved my soul. What are you thinking about? Natalie asked. About how a wrong turn down an alley changed my entire life, she smiled. Best wrong turn you ever made? Second best, I corrected. The best was falling in love with you. As I held her close, I realized that sometimes the most powerful thing in the world isn't money or guns or fear. Sometimes it's just one person refusing to walk away when everyone else would. One person brave enough to save a dying child in an alley. One person strong enough to build a family from nothing. That person saved my daughter. And saved me too. We were family now. The crime boss, the doctor, and the little girl who brought us together. Strange and unexpected and absolutely perfect forever.